special board meeting, and like I just said a minute ago, it's informational, and so, we'll have the, public comment on our regular meeting next week. I don't have more of an answer than that. I don't know whether we were able to arrange any broadcasting, but,
Under historical purposes, I can't remember ever, videoing or broadcasting a special meeting in the 20 or 30 years I've.
It's up to the board whether we broadcast comments and whether we have public comment, so it is your decision not to have it.
I just went with, as Craig said, we've not had that for history, so it wasn't any.
Well, we mentioned the video, maybe not public comment, we have public comment.
Well, like I said, we'll have public comment on the regular meeting.
But with our effective and positive communication, I think it's important that we look at that and maybe make sure that we can have that available as possible.
Any other discussion? I have a call for vote. Any other discussion? All right, at this time we'll vote. All those in favor of approving the agenda as presented, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I forgot to mention, Lori is here through Zoom, and so that sounds like it's unanimous vote, or
Yes.
all those opposed say no.
No.
Okay, so it passes 5-1, 6-1. Forget Lori's on this. Okay, and then so our next item, I'll give it over to Ron.
This is, like I said, informational, chance for the board to, hear, as we, in a sense, get to the starting line of our law project. And so now Holtz is here this evening to visit with the board and talk. So, let me just take it away.
Do we need to be in the microphone, or? Okay. Sometimes I broadcast without a microphone, I just wanted to make sure that's where you need me to be. I believe we're gonna pull up a, brief presentation for you on the screen here. Yeah, so, while that's coming up, again, I think I've met everybody here, but just again, I'll reintroduce myself. Preston Moore, pre-construction manager for Naples Construction. Very excited to be here tonight. As you all know, this has been a long time coming, much like the last time we were here to talk about kicking off Roosevelt into construction. I've been a part of this project for a number of years, so again, very happy to be here tonight. Brett?
I echo Preston's comments, but Brett Collins, Senior Project Manager for the project.
And then we also have the rest of the Naples team in the house with us tonight, so we're happy that they're here as well. Okay, so I want to tell you a little bit about what's been going on behind the scenes. Us as a partner to your design firm, DLR Group, what we've been doing in this last phase of the design and pre-construction life cycle of Hay High. Next slide, Mr. Richard. So, once the design team finished their drawings, it's up to us to get you that bid coverage on all scopes of work to drive the most value for your budget. It's up to us to assemble the best team of contractors, because we don't build this building all by ourselves, right? It's impossible. We're gonna have a great team of subcontractors working with us to get this accomplished. On 11/14, we had a local contractor summit where we had 44 folks in attendance. That was actually before the design was done, giving everybody an early snapshot of how the project was developing. In February, we were at the design phase that we call design development, where we take a moment to pause, check budget and check scope. We asked for comments from the local local contractors in that endeavor, because it's always a great idea to check the pulse of the market. We did the exact same thing in 515 with 50% construction documents as the design team was nearing the very end of their design. 6/15/23, we advertised your project bid. Our typical software for bid advertisement is an online platform called Building Connected, is what we use as a company for all of our projects. In addition to that, we made sure that it was advertised in the Hayes Post, and then some online platforms that the contracting world is used to getting their documents from, Drexel Technologies and the Builders Association. On 7/5, 100% documents actually went out to bid. Along with the design documents that your design team creates for you, we also provide a construction manager's manual to accompany those plans and specs. What that does is it creates individual bid packages with instructions to bidders to provide clarity on what we're asking them to bid. Typically, on a ground-up project, we would have somewhere around 30 bid packages. Your project, we had 84 bid packages. And I want to explain our purpose for doing that. Brett, you want to help me out on this one, because this was a...
Yeah, so, as Preston said, we typically have, half as many, but, what we're really trying to do is, break it down so we can analyze the project, the scope, get you the right price for the market, as well as giving ample opportunity to, contractors that may not be able to support a larger type project. So we really broke it down, to allow the participation that we wanted and that we got. So.
Yeah. 13, we had a pre-bid meeting and a job walk. We had 46 individuals that were in attendance. That pre-bid meeting and job walk was not mandatory. It was just an opportunity for, again, the contractors to come and meet with us, get to know us, and see the site that the project is going to be. Over the course of that bidding life cycle, this team that you see here behind you made over 400 personal phone calls to make sure that we had bid interest on your project. I'm sure many of you know that there was a multitude of other construction projects going on in this area at the time. So we knew that there was plenty of work to choose from. Mr. Birch, I think we're ready. Okay? Yeah, so here's some really good numbers here. We invited, through just our own software, over 4,000 companies. That's not including what we reached with the digital plan rooms that we shared this with. We know through that software that 970 companies viewed it, 303 were confirmed before bid day, and on bid day we received 298 bids. To put this in a little bit of perspective is, we usually have probably 25% fall off from confirmed bidders to actual bid day, and this number held very, very solid. So we were ecstatic about that. Over 84 bid packages, we averaged 3.55 bids per bid package. We always strive for at least 3 to make sure that you are getting your best bang for your buck on that particular bid package. So we ended up doing just a little bit better than that. Again, I want to impress on you how fantastic that is, considering the amount of construction that's going on in the area and the size of your project. And I can attribute that to the decision to break this up into smaller packages other than what we normally would have. Also happy to report that the local Hayes contractor participation exceeded 20%. So we always want to get as many local folks that are right here in this community on board to build these projects as we can. So we will talk about where we ended up on budget. Again, much like Roosevelt, there were some things that changed from design development on 4/12/423. With incomplete documents, we were projecting about $95 million in construction costs, plus or minus $6 million in design fees these, I am using round numbers here. And then we were still carrying $6 million in owner's costs, things that may or may not always be part of a construction project, audio, visual, furniture, things like that that are not typically built into the construction itself. We had an overall program estimate of $107 million. And again, the program is all of the costs that go with the project in addition to our construction costs. So what happened, or where we're at now, is a guaranteed maximum price today of $104.9 million for construction. Design fees stayed the same, and then owner costs are now $3 million. And if you will recall, what we did at Roosevelt was some of those things, we did make the decision to roll into construction costs so that they could be competitively bid with everything else. Again, just doing what we could to drive those costs down with that competitive nature. It has been a moment since bid day, and there has been a tremendous amount of work to get to that $104.9 million. Once we had the full construction documents, the full plans and specs, and our construction manager's manual out on the street, the market returned us a project, and they said it was worth $115 million in construction. Since that time, the design team, the Snapples team, and folks here at Hayes have been working on those costs, bringing that initial $115 million down to $104.9. But we still maintain the entire square footage and the entire function of the building. We saved that much money without having to cut any of the size of the building down, without having to take any of the program or the function of the building out. Getting you the absolute most bang for your buck, as I like to call it. So how did we get there? We had a tremendous amount of scope alignment between bid packages. If I can give you just one example, we did have some overlap between the building electrical package and the site electrical package. We always do our best to write those bid packages with clarity, but we are human, and the folks that are reading them are human, and sometimes we don't communicate as well, but we have that fixed now, and everybody knows exactly what their scope of work is. The other thing was the district ELR group of nav bolts. We sat around and we talked about what can we use, what different products can we use than their initial design that can build the exact same building with the exact same look and feel and still drive dollars out of this project, but still give that fantastic building for the students. We also relied on some of the specialty contractors. What we asked them, if you were to do something different, what things might you do that would still keep this building functioning in the size that it is, but help us reduce those costs in the long run? So we had some input from those. Overall bond, I know that we do still have some projects that are still out there, so we have kept the original bond scope and budget intact throughout this process. Hayes Middle School, Hayes Elementary, and Laughlin projects are still online. They are very preliminary in design, and their scope and their budgets are still being massaged and completed as we speak. We still have a ways to go on those three projects. Is that our last slide? Okay.
So here's a little fly through the building. This is provided by our design team, Hardware DLR, to kind of give you a look and feel of the building and where we're sitting at with that.
Oh, yeah. They showed that at the board meeting previous.
All right, so thanks everybody for watching that. I know I would have been pretty winded running through that. It's a pretty sizable building, and it's something we're really excited to build for you all. With that, we're working on a groundbreaking ceremony October 4th, 4:30, with some fun activities associated with that. So I want to thank you for your time and appreciate it.
Thank you. Is this the time where we can ask some questions?
Sure.
So wow, this is mind-boggling. 2013, I got to be a part of the original facility needs committee and toured every building, saw every boiler. Never seen a boiler before then, and so this is quite amazing. And the repeated theme over and over was we need better use of space for educational purposes, over and over, top down. And there's a lot of stuff here that and so I don't know if this is a question for you or for Ron or for somebody else, but there's a lot of different titles that, I mean, you said Learning Commons quite a lot, and Life Skills Suite, and just, can you talk about some of the strategic use of space for that educational purpose, and maybe explain some of those rooms?
I'll let you take it, and if I need to piggyback or help.
I think that if you've ever been to Hayes High, or Mr. Henderson is probably the guy who needs to talk about this. Why don't you come on up, Mr. Henderson?
Okay.
He's the guy who will talk a little bit about the Learning Commons and utilizing our space more efficiently.
Because I think right now we utilize the hallways for a lot of kids on the floor for the, we were talking about that.
So in the fly-through, when you went through, there are a lot of places there that you could see that are built for collaboration to create spaces where kids can work with each other in a space that's created for that purpose. Our hallway is always full of kids laying on the floor collaborating. Well, this building is designed so that that can help. One of the other things that's in there is it kind of walked you through the teacher planning center. So there's a place kind of like a college where there are places where the teachers can plan, and then they use multiple rooms. The reason why you would use multiple rooms when you teach is it really maximizes the building utilization, right? Because if we have teachers on planning period and they're sitting inside of their classroom, it could be being used by someone else. So it's really an economy of space. And so the whole building was built with that intention, is that how can we use every space to its fullest so that we can maximize, you know, what we're offering, really dollars spent by the community. So that was the impetus in every conversation. And so some of the things that might pop up there, it says teacher planning center, that's one of those spaces. When it kind of went through the places that changed colors, if you saw that there was green and teal and tan, those are actual like math and science, they're paired together. Some of their classrooms have glass that you can actually pull across. And my classroom can be inside of here, and these folks are out here collaborating. They're all in this space together. And the people that are neighbors are the science teachers and the math teachers. They're together. Same is English and social studies teachers on the other side. But when you went through that area that changed colors, I think that's easy for everybody to remember as you watch the fly through. Those areas are collaboration for those content areas. And each one of those have a teacher planning center where those teachers have those resources nearest to them so that they can be successful in working together with their students. If that kind of gives you an idea. I don't know if you have any other ones that jumped out at you that we could speak to, but.
So there's, well, like, I saw the stair. Is it learning stair?
I'll happily tell you about the learning stair. So
That's a cool feature.
yeah, this is one that I was really excited about because when we went and visited other schools, it is a place where students can be. I think one of the things that's important when we build a school is to give space for students to be, to hang out, to talk, to collaborate, to learn. If we have a guest speaker, those stairs have wood on them. There's a regular staircase on the left, but the other ones are like, I don't know, 3 foot wide. And I can sit in there before school with my friends and have a conversation. I could also have a guest speaker stand at the bottom of those learning stairs and have that conversation happen. When you go into Andover's Learning Center that we went into, I've been to for a presentation, that's exactly how it is. They can put people on those stairs. So it's really neat. It is all kinds of utilization opportunities. And that's a great example that we could use it during lunch. You could use it before and after school. We could use it for classes. That's a very specific space that was created for that collaboration.
If I could just piggyback on that
Please.
comment, all of our design partners, in addition to DLR, learning stairs seem to be all the rage for the last 10, 15 years. We put learning stairs in single-story buildings, oddly enough.
Well, I mean, and certainly places like the gym, the fields, the performing arts center, those are classrooms as well. And I'm curious, like the capacity of some of these. I know we've been told, but I don't remember. But also just kind of, is this an area that the full student body assembly? Where will they be? Is that still in the gym, or will they be in the auditorium?
So you really don't build an auditorium to hold your whole school. So if you look at Garden City, for example, I think their auditorium holds 900, and they have many more students than that. So if they're going to do a full school assembly, they would do what we do, which would move it to the gym. Our gym has 2,077 seats as of right now, kind of how that looks. And then you saw the track between the two. And interesting about that design, you can go from the inside walking track gym outside onto the pavilion, which is the concourse, which is the football stadium.
So that is a walking track. It's not going to be carpeted.
Mhm.
It's gonna be-
And then one whole wall, as the camera panned and you went around that walking track, when it turned maroon and there was the big school logo there, everything that you saw as maroon is wrestling rooms. Those are 3 wrestling rooms. And below them are all the locker rooms. So those spaces are designed, and in the weight room you notice was 2 stories, so it has access both ways, and even has a garage door that goes outside. So students go outside, inside, walking track. There's just a lot of opportunities in that design to allow that to happen.
Your learning stairs, what's the capacity if you're holding lectures and stuff there?
Hundreds, I would say, not thousands by any stretch, but.
A couple hundred students on the learning centers
Yeah.
at one time. I just didn't see that. That's enormous.
Yeah.
Unexpected.
I don't have the exact number, but.
You could have a grade level meeting or a freshman meeting or something like that.
You bet.
Pretty much on the stairs.
Mr. Henderson, can you explain a little bit about the process with the wood shop? And because earlier we were going to have it in the new building, and then it's now not. And what's going to be for upgrades for that program?
Yeah, so I think some of that is that program specifically, when you talk about the wood shop, multiple teachers are in there. They have 1,500 square feet of storage, right? And so when you start to look at per square foot cost, it made a lot more sense to keep them there. Obviously our 2 schools are so close in proximity to each other. The very last thing that happened in that video is they walked you through the Hall of Fame. Everybody know what I mean? You walked through the video and it was the Hall of Fame. That is underneath the walking track. But if you keep going where that Hall of Fame ends, that's a sidewalk. And if I keep going in a straight line, I will bump into the E building. I mean, you see what I mean? You're literally, if I walk out the Hall of Fame and I kept going, and I exit the building and take 100 steps, I am at the greenhouse, and I am at, horticulture, ag room. No, we have an ag room in the
Okay,
building.
is there a sidewalk in between the 2, and how far is the distance? Is it 50 feet, 100 feet?
It's steps. I mean, I got to be in those meetings. I've learned a lot about civil engineering. I don't know any of those things, but I know they worked hard to make sure that sidewalk can go between those 2 buildings with ease. You guys interrupt now.
Nope.
Okay.
So bad weather days, everything like that, you're not gonna have any issues getting.
No, and honestly, if you look across the state and the country, it's very common that students exit the building to go to wood shop, ag. I mean, those things that's very common. So, bottom line, I think, and Mr. Wilson, I mean,
bottom line, this was a conversation of, it just made more sense to keep it. Just like the greenhouse was a pretty short conversation to buy another one and build a new one from scratch costs a whole lot more money than finding a way to use the ones that we have. So those
the
conversations.
Original plans, it was upstairs, and what's in that space now? Science, or is that replaced or flipped, or is there still ag up in that space, or is it all in that heap?
There is a ag science classroom that's in proximity to other science labs. It's kind of treated the same. The horticulture, the greenhouse, all of that stays where it currently is.
So with the E building, is it gonna be able to house middle school shop classes and our high school shop classes?
It will be able to do that because at some point when you walk down that hallway, there is a new divider between the middle school and the high school. It's very clear. It's just after the bathrooms in the E building. And then from that point forward, it is the middle school. And this way you have, so what is the current metal shop will be the wood shop of the middle school.
So the bathrooms for middle school are gonna be where?
Well, they have new ones and that's not my lane, so I won't drive in it, but that.
Well, it's your building now, so where do you expect it to be?
That's not it.
It's gonna have to be built in there?
Yeah, we're working on the design for it, and they will have bathrooms.
In that area. So while we're talking about bathrooms, can you explain the situation with the bathrooms in the academic area? Because walk rooms are as traditional.
Yeah, I can. I think in my job, it's really important to try to seek to understand. And I know that there is a lot of conversation about bathrooms. So I actually appreciate the opportunity to talk about it, okay? So if we're gonna talk about bathrooms, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I wanna talk about bowel movements, okay? And I'm not trying to be funny. I wanna talk about bowel movements. And the reason for that is there are sights, sounds, and smells associated with a bowel movement. Couple questions. One, how many people do I want to have around me when I have a bowel movement? Okay, that's one question. And two, what equipment do you want those people around you to have while you have your bowel movement? So I'm talking about cameras, I'm talking about high definition microphones, and I'm talking about the ability to mass produce and project what I just took of you in your private, vulnerable space to the world. I know there's a lot of conversations about bathrooms, but for me, if people in the community will ask a high school secondary student, or quite frankly, anybody in this room, when I have a bowel movement, how many people do I want around me? And when I was in school, did I feel comfortable doing that in a large space with a lot of people around me? And then if you now project what our kids deal with, which is phones, video, microphones, math, it's hard. Our students are vulnerable in a way that it's hard for us to understand. So when the design came through that we had the opportunity to provide a private bathroom, and by that I mean concrete from the ceiling to the floor. I cannot pass toilet paper to the person next to me, okay? This is an individual private bathroom. And when I go in there, it's mine. And when I exit, I'm done. We have cameras to monitor who's going in and out of those spaces. And we would monitor them like any other bathroom that we have. The difference is when I have a bowel movement, I will be able to do so in private. So really, and honestly, when I talk to people, we have a lot of kids that are uncomfortable having a bowel movement at school. This is an answer for them to have one place in their life when they feel vulnerable that they are by themselves. That being said, we have lots of places in the school that they don't have to be by themselves. Okay? The architectural term that I learned is a gang bathroom. We have those. We have them outside of the auditorium. We have them outside of the gym, that whole area. So those still exist as well. But when I'm upstairs and I'm in English class, there are also 4 private individual bathrooms that I would be able to walk to that are a lot closer, and I would be by myself. So I just kind of wanted to make sure that I put that in perspective a little bit when we start to talk about these bathrooms. And then when DLR made this video, I said, please walk people through the bathroom. So they actually kind of walked you through 2 areas, right? You have those individual bathrooms, and then there are sinks on the outside.
Which are jutted up to the hallway.
Yeah, right, yeah, and then there's like between 9 and 10 feet of clearance on either side of that the whole world can see in that area in terms of the sink area, I mean.
Yes, Sean, yeah, right off the hallway, in the sink area, like you said, those will have cameras, and, so right now, from a retired administrator, that spent way too much time checking bathrooms, going through bathrooms, trying to keep bathrooms calm, and get the privacy. You're gonna have, cameras between when that bathroom door shuts and the sinks, that area, who goes in. So, you know, I talked to a couple of high school, students, male and female, and they're saying, you know, that private door will not have a space under it, it won't have a space over it, and, you know, all of them said to me, there are times I need my privacy, whether I am changing a shirt, whether I'm going to the bowel movement, and they said, back, of course, this is a different school, back in middle school, we had kids that didn't go to the bathroom all day, and it caused almost a medical, because they didn't want somebody peeking under the stall, throwing something over the stall. So emotionally, it is good for kids to have the same kind of privacy that adults have, with that. So, you know, these kids wanted to just kind of get on their soapbox because they're not represented here tonight, but those were a few that talked to me.
I think also, just to clarify, I think these numbers were shared at the board meeting, it's 50%, it's like 70%, if you use the term gain values, 70% of our building is the gain value, is 30% would be, so, if you want specific numbers, there's 81 toilets that are in the gain bathrooms, and 34 toilets that are in individual private sections.
In the upstairs, is there any gang bathrooms in the upstairs, second level? The way I understood it, there was no gang bathrooms in the upstairs or bottom of academic areas, just in the.
Yeah, I mean, I think
exit.
the larger, the larger restrooms are downstairs. Some of that is that like the visiting teams, they would come into the building. The concession stand was an area that that camera walked through as well. And so the larger bathrooms are definitely
So
downstairs.
not counting, well, because that was the DLR's number, is at 51%.
No, they said, at the last meeting, they said more than half the bathrooms are traditional gang bathrooms.
70%.
70%, but those are locker rooms, and we have a lot more locker rooms than we've had in the past, is that correct?
Are they only locker rooms?
No.
28 toilets in the locker rooms.
Preston, how many high schools have you built?
High school was I built?
Yeah.
Oh, this would probably be number 10 over the years.
Have you put any bathrooms like this in any high school?
Yes.
Which ones are those?
They're currently in Shawnee Mission.
But Shawnee Mission is only just like, they're not that many, and there's some in different areas, but not this percentage, highest percentage.
I can't comment on the percentage.
Because it's like they took a third of their bathrooms and made it that way, but they still have the traditional bathrooms, I guess you call it, in their high school. So if somebody's not comfortable using the one that you're describing, they have an option. But if they're upstairs, they don't have an option unless they go downstairs to the locker room, is that correct?
I have a question for you. I mean, he just said that 70% of the toilets in the whole building are traditional gendered bathrooms. So that means 30%, we think is less than a third of the bathrooms that we're talking about here. So I'm just confused about.
But to your point, I can answer. If I'm in art class, that's the top of the stairs or English, and I wanted to go to a larger restroom, I would just go down the stairs by the auditorium and I'm done. And then
The nearest one, you have to go down.
Yeah, but our building is built in basically a commons in the middle, 2 academic wings, and athletics. So I am basically equidistant anywhere upstairs or downstairs to those large bathrooms, but I'm gonna walk by private bathrooms to get to the larger one. But again, those options are available, no doubt.
So on the topic of safety though, that was one of the topics that has obviously come up front, and, the aspect of the glass, and then being more glass and just the layout itself, and then in terms of the storm shelter, can you address some of that? Because I believe after some of the tragedies that have happened to other schools, in some way it won't happen here, and at that point, I think the presence of more glass in a building has actually become the trend. Can you maybe speak to that? That might be a day off, sorry, example.
I mean, I can.
It's, yeah, I was gonna say, and what we have found out, we've talked to security consultants with DLR, is the aspect of being able to see what's happening versus behind a closed wall where you can't see what is happening. We have been told that that's been a positive. It opens it up to see what's going on in there in the event of something like that.
In our current school, so we have just under 1,200 people by the time you have the staff and students. They're long corridors, no windows, and if somebody was having an emergency, it's harder to see, okay? And so we have to be very vigilant about putting people in those places. We always will be, that's not gonna stop. The difference is that if this was glass right now, and something was happening in that hallway, and someone was in distress, there are 100 people that would see that distress. And those 100 people would act to keep others safe in that moment. And a lot of those schools that have had those things happen end up coming back and redesigning their schools with more visible opportunities to keep each other safe. And so I think that's part of it too. And then we had all those conversations with architects and.
So where would we go in a storm? There are.
So in the locker room there, that's a storm shelter.
Okay.
So more about the glass and the classroom spaces. Now, I think when you presented a preliminary design, we asked about blinds and like kind of closing off some distractions. The classrooms in the hallway. So as the teachers all asked, like they've been involved. So they've helped design or lead the spaces, or different members of that team have
For sure.
created the space.
For sure.
Really, I had another question about safety and movement, right? So we've got a lot upstairs in this building. And I know that we have some students with mobility issues. They may have invisible disabilities. And I wonder how we're getting kids around without
3 elevators.
Three elevators.
You know, in each wing, there's an elevator to access that.
So those would be closed. Are they like?
No, I mean,
are you gonna make kids?
if that was part of
have
the
to use
kids' safety
elevators?
plan,
Like, are you, like?
yeah, I mean, if that was part of the kids' safety plan, they would utilize it for sure. They're general use elevators.
Yes.
That's their purpose, whether they're bringing play up to an art classroom, or they're moving a timpani, or
Sure,
whatever
okay.
they're using, including people.
I forgot about moving heavy instruments. I don't know why.
We don't have to do that because the van was really close to the, yeah.
Mr. Henderson, how are you addressing the maintenance of the bathrooms you're talking about? You have male and female use, and it's a single-use bathroom.
I think people need to be very kind to the other people that use the bathrooms, and I think that's true in me and my house, and you and yours, and all of us ladies. I think there should be a conversation about how we leave bathrooms. I think that's a valid conversation for our kids.
And I'll tell you, I know Shawnee Mission has, when they had an event that needs a bathroom to be, you're not shutting down the whole bathroom. You're focusing on that one private stall. So if there's a leak or something like that, they can address it there. Rather than having to shut down the whole thing.
Right. Male goes in there, that's enough, then you guarantee that female's not gonna want to go there, or any male or female's gonna want to go in that bathroom.
But if I'm the last person to go in that bathroom and the next person says that there's a problem, then I'll find out what time you walked in there and no one between the two of you did, and my conversation will be with you. And, you know, I mean, because I think that's.
Mr. Benson, talk about the whole house.
Yeah, so the other thing that we've been trying is, when I was in school, I used to get a pass, a piece of paper, can I please go to Mr. Viner's room? In the school now, we have e-hall pass, so we have students that enter on their computers, we're one-to-one, that they are heading to a restroom, and they even articulate where they're going. And so it also even starts a timer. And so we are constantly tracking where kids are going in our schools. And And that's a part of that conversation right now, and that's the software that we're using. And that came from unbelievable recommendations from other large high schools. They said, this is the thing that is helping keep people safe in our school. And we've already started, we're using it. I can track every pass in our school all day long. So we're already gonna be well practiced at that by the time we ever go over there.
I have a couple of questions. First one's back to the financial.
Yes.
We go back there. We flip back on those slides. I'm scrolling. I'm coming back there. I'm sorry. The question that I have is, you said we manipulated 4 or 5 million. I'm guessing, I can't quite remember exactly. To keep it down to the 104.9. You said, you showed us one example where it crossed over electrical. Where else did we find $3 or $4 million?
I'd have to probably defer to, where was the?
Yeah, I can give you a couple more examples. I mean, there are.
Stillwell, he's project manager for the high school.
There's a couple other things like, who picks up a railing around the football field? Is it the steel guy? Is it the fencing contractor? Turns out they both picked it up. That's one that's a big number, that can come out of one, go into another one. Different types of flooring, wood flooring contractor versus like commercial flooring contractor. Who picks up this type? Who picks up that type? There's overlaps like that throughout that we were able to find through de-scoping these contractors, where we found those overlaps and were able to eliminate it from whichever one was more higher and keep the one that was more cost effective.
And so what is that number? Was that 2 million, 3 million?
I don't think we have that.
Yeah, I don't think we know exactly what that is because there's several factors.
People find some more of that.
I think, so we
You got
bid
three?
this, 8/3, that was bid day. And so that's a long time between then and now. And that's what we've been doing for the last 6-7 weeks, is honing that in and making sure we got the right product.
So we think we got clean.
I think we're clean.
Did we lose any quality of construction then with any of this? Would you lower those numbers or?
No.
And were there things we had to cut out at all?
No, not from a programmatic standpoint.
Wood shop, one of those that you cut? I thought that was a part that you cut. It wasn't original plans. Is that a program that was cut?
That was done after schematic design. That wasn't this phase.
We've had a meeting where that's been talked about.
My last, fine, I just have one. The designs, the drawings of 200 people can sit here, this auditorium holds this much, this classroom's English, this classroom's English, this is how many bathrooms here, this is the, when, and I think we have a lot of fans behind it. And it's because we're not informed and they don't know and makes people very nervous. And I've had more phone calls than I need for a while about issues, and that's great, I'm glad that people care. But I think we can surely make this more settled. If we can get drawings out, it shows what the, so people are informed instead of guessing, and I would like for it to be on the Hayes poster or on our website, but I want specific drawings. I can't, these are so vague to me, I can't tell what this area is and that area is, and they're nice and cosmetic up to look good. I would like to know sizes, areas. How the English classroom is gonna have 20, 25 per, is that gonna be available soon? Because you're gonna ask us to vote for bids, and I'd like to be able to share with people who keep asking what I'm voting, that all the bids would be on. And they should, and I would hope that they would know what we're building too.
I don't know if the exact number of students per classroom is anywhere, but I know on your district website, there are an overview of the plans. And it's kind of the, I think you've seen it before, the color-coded
Yeah,
sections.
they're very generic and not
Okay.
specific.
Gotcha.
I want specific.
So the
I wanna
floor
know, there's 8 English rooms, I wanna know there's 7 math rooms, I want specifics.
I can't read this floor plan. So I think that's, like it's an image, it's very small to fit on the internet, and I can't blow it up with any readability. And it would be nice to be able, sometimes when we get some of these schematics, we might get a little, like an estimate of the number of people in the room. It's that's what he's asking for, and I agree, I can't blow this up well enough to even understand it.
I think it would be of great value if our community members have backed this project. Some of them are getting a little unhappy, but I think we can solve a lot of problems with some details.
That information was shared.
I don't have it.
Well, it was in fact, I can't remember the meeting, but it's when Kirby Pennington emailed or those
That's the one
drawings.
in April?
But if the public called me, can I tell them where to go? And then they can find it, they can see it.
Sure, I mean, we can get a larger version on the website, that's.
Are you wanting them to see the video, the meeting?
I would like these floor plans blown up in detail, so we know how many English rooms, how many math, how many science, and how many students are gonna be in those rooms.
Well, the numbers, I don't know, so I don't think that number.
But
We can,
2025
give you the square footage of each classroom. Yeah.
But people want to know. They want to know what they're getting for their buck. Like you say, Brett.
Yeah.
What is the square footage of this?
235,000.
235,000, and what is the amount per square footage? Cost per square foot?
We're right around, get my calculator out.
And one thing you have to account for too, whenever you're looking at that cost per square foot, is that also includes the athletic facilities around it, all of the infrastructure to put a new building there, all of the
That
parking
square
lots.
footage is included in that, not just the building,
No,
what is just the building?
The building is 235.
I'm saying included in the total dollar value is all of that infrastructure,
I
the
understand.
stadium.
446,
446.
including all flags.
That's that, all the sleep complex. Did you do it by 235 or?
That's just,
That's parking lots, that's everything.
235 is everything.
235 is the building.
So that number you just told us, are just, it's not necessarily.
235 is the building.
Total cost of
But the 104
Is the
is
building, right?
the whole acreage.
So, yeah, we would need what that whole acreage is divided by one.
And that's typically how we assign it. So when we're reporting on construction costs, it is by the size of the building. And we can definitely tell you how many acres the entire site is, but that's kind of our industry standard to talk about it in terms of the building itself. But we can do that as well.
The design amount, designing up there, 6 million, that's almost 6%, that seems a little high for designing.
6%, no, that's
Is that
very much,
industry standard?
that's very much a standard.
And so, and what's your percentage?
We have.
We have 2.25.
2.25? 6% is, and that's just for this project, not the entire.
That's correct.
I went back and looked at our guaranteed maximum price for Roosevelt, which is almost 19 million. And with this amount, it leaves us very little for middle school, O'Loughlin, and Wilson renovations. And I'm curious about that very, very.
We're still,
To these things.
yeah, I mean, right now, we are still tracking on budget, to complete. Of course, we have not completed, the second phase of design. And we still have to go bid. But the thing is, I'm still very confident. The work that, I don't think it can be underestimated, the work that we did over the last, and I'm gonna include we, because I was in those meetings as well. A lot of my life has been spent over the last 6 weeks, working on this. But these guys are amazing, and what they're able to figure out in terms of how we can still deliver a very good, facility, and they're just, they showed me that we can get this done. So unfortunately, costs are high right now, and those are things that we couldn't anticipate.
Everybody anticipated that. Everybody did.
So, but I think we're still on track, on budget, and everything, will hopefully work out. So.
it seems like there's a need to trust that these are the experts. And they have been the experts for a very long time. And we've trusted that for a very long time. And anything that they do, we should not be picking apart. But in fact, allow them to just do their job and come explain that information, to have questions for them, but not pick the job apart, if that makes sense.
That's my one question. You said you worked at 10 high schools, and was any of those had?
I track K as well, all education projects, so, yeah.
Was that any of those buildings that you did bathrooms like this?
Yes.
Which ones were they?
The two Shawnee Mission schools.
You did the Shawnee Missions. I know they did add another construction company part. You did which one?
We did,
North and Northwest.
North and Northwest.
Verizon, which is not a high.
So those were not
a high
new
school.
construction. That was a renovation, correct? And on the designing percentage, again, I was trying to think about our original contract. I don't know if it was 6%. Do you remember?
Yes, we've been over the contract, you sat down with that DLR and Kurt, that's what's agreed upon, that you run the contract, so.
Now, do they do that on a billable rate? Do they just do that as it goes, or it's just a flat rate that they get to do the project?
Well, there's, if you remember from the meeting, there are certain fees for new construction, there are certain fees for renovation. So they vary depending on what the contract is.
So, with our interest that we're getting, we can apply that to the bond, or we can pay down the bond. That's all our decision what we do with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're working on the premise that any kind of investments from our bond money will go towards the interest projects.
So that would be surprised that the amount, the total amount for the building projects is gonna be more than $143 million.
Yes.
I thought it can't be. Can't be more than
You're money off your investments.
We're very fortunate that it's so much, and it's gone up so much. What is it now? That's in return,
It's all-
between 3 to 4%.
It's enrolling investments based on draw schedule, so, it varies depending on which one they're doing, but it's all, it's all doing well, which we said helps offset some of the inflation cost on the actual project.
I think we projected 4% investment earnings, which I would say is probably higher than that. I mean, initially.
We're trending higher than that, we would expect, but it's hard to say, again, because they're all, treasuries, and so you can't take it out early, you don't guarantee. Anyway, it's trending higher than the 4%.
And the sales tax is going directly to the bond, or how does that work?
No, so you gotta remember, there's two different components of it. The one is the actual selling of the bonds for $143 million, and the investment income that comes from that can all go towards the project. Then we have the repayment, which is the $143 million, so the interest that you're gaining doesn't matter there. You have the repayment of the sale of the bond. The sales tax can only go towards the repayment of the bond. It can't go
That's,
towards project.
exceeding expectations.
Yes. They were very conservative in the estimates, and it's far exceeding that. We're always running 2 months behind, as it comes, we're still gonna stay on pace. Good.
Preston, and those projects, did you ever work with the owner's representative?
Not on the Shawnee Mission projects, no, sir. I have worked with other groups.
And is that usually what percent is that, 50% or?
No, it's a very small percent of the projects that the owner decides to hire.
Did you lose Salina or Junction City with those parking projects?
They were not.
Lori, do you have any questions at this time?
Up, you're good, Blake.
Oh.
I have didn't have any questions. I just feel that, old business should not be brought up again. We should just continue to talk about new business and continue to be excited about what is happening in the future, rather than bringing up old stuff over and over and over again.
Craig, do you have any further comments?
One of these people have never heard this.
That's the reason
We've
we're
gotta
having a public
get
meeting.
our information as a board relayed out to the people, and if they, like when DLR talked with us, when these guys talk with us, and take good notes, take information, so we're not repeating the same things every time, because, over the last however many, we've had some misleading, misinformation put out because we didn't, follow what DLR and Neville's was saying.
And I guess I did ask, and I wanna make sure I'm saying this right, Jess. As board clerk, I wanted to know, when was the meeting that was open? And so it would be, I believe, videotaped too on our, YouTube channel, but that, when DLR came and spoke about a lot of this as well, that was April 10th of this year. So that would be, I mean, that to me is what I've drawn a lot of my understanding and information from. So I'm just sorry I jumped there, but, I wanna thank you as well for being, I'm very excited, not excited about this project, but I'm really pleased that we had so much diligence and awareness to providing the smaller packages to get more local, businesses involved. That's much appreciated.
Melanie?
Yeah, Preston, you said that on Roosevelt, we had about 30% that participated. What does that mean, participated? They participated in bids, or they actually participated in the project?
Participating in the project.
And you have a list of those? I had asked about that other meeting. Can you get that sent to the board, please? And then you said this one is 20%. Why do you, it's 10% less? What's your feeling about that? It's just that's the way it works. It's a bigger project.
I was gonna say a bigger project, maybe, it's hard to kind of pinpoint on that exactly.
Some of the small businesses.
Smaller businesses.
I think also the length of the project. I mean, it's a bigger project, but the length that it's going to take 2 years. Because for a lot of our local companies to tie themselves up for 2 years is difficult for them because they're not big enough to serve both their other side of their, who might be interested in hiring. So I think that was something I would say probably affected the high school. But still, we got 20% is still very good.
I agree with Mr. Minor. I need to get the word out. Or bond passed 54%. And so there's a group of people out there that doesn't, or concerned about necessarily not the bond, but what the bond is. So I don't think they know. And so we need to get more information. And maybe even use our information person to get the information out, send cards out, explanation of what we're doing. Because a lot of people don't know, and I had requested that we might survey the parents so that they know about this months ago, about the bathroom issue, and we haven't got that, so they don't know, and so now we have a lot of people that are here, and I think there's a lot of people concerned, so I think we need to listen to that and make sure we let people know what's going on.
All right, Kurt, do you have any final?
I just would like I'd like the first and second floor layout.
We could get that.
I would appreciate it.
Could be your
Yeah,
saying
we'll just put it on the
online.
bond.
I want to roll that bid so we can see it, and then I want it public.
And can we see the contract for Roosevelt and for Bayside? Can you send that to us?
Yes, with tables, apples.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you. And Megan, do you have anything to add?
No, I just like to thank you for coming, thank you for all of the work. It's very impressive work. What is that time again? Do you have a time on the ground?
Yeah. What's that?
4:30.
Okay. I put that on my calendar.
Well, I have a question, I'm sorry. Preston, what's this process, 2 year long, what happens if it doesn't get completed?
It doesn't get completed in 2 years. The we are in trouble financially because we're giving you a guaranteed maximum price for our general conditions for our team to be there.
Do you have incentive to
So we are incentivized to finish this project.
And you have built-in budget or change orders, a certain amount. What percentage is that?
We do have contingencies, dollars built into the GMP if there's any unforeseen changes, but change orders should not occur unless you all change the design mid-construction, or if we find something that was unforeseen conditions, which do happen whenever you're bringing a brand new building out of the ground, when you're disturbing the soil.
But that's, what percentage is that? Is that amount 5%, 10%?
No.
2%, or, okay, 1%.
Well, I'd like to thank y'all for the time you took today, it was a great presentation, a lot of good information. I do appreciate that you've been able to answer questions. Mr. Henderson, I don't know where he's at, but thank you.
And the other gentleman, is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of you that all came or more?
Yeah, so this is the Hayes-High and Roosevelt team. These are the guys who do something now.
Appreciate you getting to be here in our community so you can see the work you're doing, people that you're impacting. Thank you.
I was gonna say, they've been living in the Hayes for the last
Thanks for
6
supporting
months.
our local economy.
5 months.
Drive by the Roosevelt.
Buy local.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, they do. They eat a lot every night.
Well, thank you again, and I do appreciate your time. At this time, our meeting is adjourned.